all over the world, whether you pick up a Hollywood classic or a European classic or an Indian classic or a Japanese classic. They always have a good, meaningful climax scene with which they round off their work of art. The climax scene is properly and aptly sums up the overall mood and the message of the movie. Just recall the climax scene of Mother India, directed by Mehboob Khan and released in the year of 1957. Radha, played by Nargis Dutt, shoots her own criminal son Birju, a role played by Sunil Dutt. The film does not end here. Few frames later, Radha, now a very old lady, is called upon to inaugurate canal, which symbolizes better, prosperous India of future. This is why and how the title Mother India becomes highly apt for the movie. Years later, viewers continue to recall the climax scene of Mother India, which is quite touchy and emotionally moving. This is the importance of climax scene in any good movie. Given this importance of the powerful uh, climax scene in a movie, now I focus my attention on two important movies of post-independent India. One, Ankur, directed by Shyam Benegal and released in 1974. And second, Pandri, released in 2013, directed by young director Nagraj Manjul. These two films are separated by a time gap of nearly 4 decades, and yet they are leaving behind almost similar message with the audience. Here I am talking about Ankur first, as I told you, released in 1974, and I want to compare the climax scene of Ankur with that of Pandri in 2013. Pandri is a Marathi movie, Ankur is a Hindi movie. Both these movies are hailed as milestones in the history of modern Indian cinema. They were showered with awards, compliments when they were released, and quite rightly so. Before we discuss the nuances of the climax scenes of Ankur and Pandri, it is quite necessary to put these two movies in proper framework of post-independent India cultural milieu. This is because unless we understand the socio-political economic conditions of any work of art, it's very difficult to go to the theme of the movie. This is why I propose to step back in pre-independent era, and I want to refer to movies made by Baburao Patel and V. Shantara. Recall the movie Saukari Pash, Moneylenders Stranglehold of Baburao Patel. As usual, villain is moneylender who has been exploiting economically, at times socially, and quite often sexually the poor, helpless, illiterate villagers. We are touched, moved by the treatment given to the movie by Baburao Painter, and tears come to our eyes as they leave behind a very humane appeal. Whether you talk of Shantaram or whether you talk of Baburao Painter, their movies like Saukari Pash, Shezari, Manus are full of humanity. Now, cut to post-independent India. Before that, let me tell you why humanity was a very simple value for directors of pre-independent India. This is because they were untouched, unexposed to the message of Russian Revolution 1917 driven by Marxist ideology. In post-independent India, directors like Shyam Benegal, Manjule are exposed to the new idea, I repeat, new idea of socialistic realism driven from Marxist ideology. This is why when needs to discuss Shyam Benegal's Ankur in more details, as today's generation may not have seen that movie. In Ankur, there's a young landlord, Surya, who is recently married and is sent to his property in village by his father. He is alone because his wife is not yet to attain puberty. Now in village, he comes across Lakshmi, a Dalit woman who has been abandoned by her husband Kishtiya, and Kishtiya is dissipated to city. Lakshmi starts working in Surya's household, doing domestic chore like eating, cooking, etc. And slowly, steadily, she is forced into sexual liaison with Surya, landlord's son. Since his wife and her husband are absent from the scene, the liaison progresses to its logical end, and in due course, Lakshmi is pregnant. Now, cut to little future time when Surya's wife has attained puberty and has come to stay with him in village. Similarly, Kishtiya also comes back to village and very happy to learn that Lakshmi is pregnant. He doesn't know how she has become pregnant. He is very happy because for years he has been pining for a progeny in his household. In his happiness, he starts walking towards Surya's property, his Haveli, asking for work. Guilt-ridden as Surya is, he brings his henchmen and beats Kishtiya black and blue because he feels Kishtiya has come to seek revenge. Lakshmi, so far mutely observing all these injustices, suddenly gathers courage and starts abusing landlord openly, publicly. Villagers are there in the surrounding. They watch these incidents mutely as this has been their regular case. Slowly, steadily, they go home and normalcy comes back to village life. However, there is a small important change in the climax scene. A pre-teen boy cannot digest this gross injustice and picks up a stone, throws at the Haveli of the landlord. It breaks the glasses and there is a huge noise. Movie ends here. Audiences are very happy that this way or the other justice has been done and world is safe to live in. Now cut to 2013. Manjule's Fandring. A similar climax. Preteen Jabba is in madly love with the upper caste girl. Jabba is a Dalit boy. There is no distant possibility also of they coming together and living happily ever after. Now, Jabba realizes this. There is an injustice that he sees, and finally, like the preteen boy of Ankur, he also picks up a stone and throws at the Haveli of landlord. Now you see the similarity between the two climax scenes. Though Ankur and Fandry are separated by nearly 4 decades, we can identify and put our finger on the similarity in their climax scene where a pre-teen boy is angered enough to pick up a stone and register his protest. So that small act is an example of how protest is registered in rural India. Now this is very good on the surface, but only on the surface, because next day life will go back to normal. The boy will join the race and he will grow up accepting meekly the injustice of landlord or any other have. The story between the have and have not is as old as a hill. This is where the weak understanding of Marxism comes into picture. If these two directors were properly trained in the art and science of Marxist art theory, they would have shown mass action against the landlord, not a solo action against the landlord. There is a huge difference between mass action, which is the logical, considered opinion of the masses who have come together, and offering a collective action. I repeat, collective action based on cold logic. Rather than going for this route, the Benegal and the Manjule opt for soft option of solo action, that too done by preteen boy was not really exposed to the harsh reality of life. Instead, if they were to show adults of the village getting together, discussing, weighing the pros and cons, and then deciding to take collective action against the landlord, these two movies would have been far better compared to what they are today. This is how one should look at the climax scene of any movie through eyes of socialistic realism to see how they are good or they are just average. I regret to put forward my opinion that taken these values of socialistic realism, the climax scenes of Ankur and Fandre are not up to the mark. They leave behind a deep sense of dissatisfaction in the minds of scholars because they know that tomorrow, day after, next week, next month, life will come back to its old exploitative nature. Thank you.